It's 15 minutes of commercial-free nonstop news, traffic, and weather brought to you by Sweet James. If you've been injured in an accident, call Sweet James. I'm Jeff Munn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
A KTAR News special. Arizona votes 2024 1 year out. Talking about the upcoming election on KTAR News 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
I'm Jim Sharp along with KTAR legal analyst Barry Marks, and as our KTAR News special, Arizona Votes 2024 1 year out, focuses today on election integrity. And just a reminder, if you're listening on 92.3 FM or on the KTAR News app, you can watch our live stream at KTAR.com and catch any part you missed when the whole thing is posted later on KTAR.com. And our first guest is Republican Ken Bennett, who returned to the state Senate this year after serving in the chamber from 1999 to 2006, a time, by the way, which included a stint as president of the Arizona Senate. And Senator Bennett also served as Arizona Secretary of State for 6 years, an office that performs a lot of jobs besides just being Arizona's de facto lieutenant governor. One of those jobs is overseeing elections in Arizona. So if that wasn't a perfect enough reason to have Ken Bennett on a show to discuss election integrity, how about the fact that in 2021, Ken Bennett acted as a liaison between the state, the county, and the contractors performing the state Senate ordered audit of Maricopa County's 2020 election results.
And Ken, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here. Thank you, Barry.
And I know you're
Jim.
state senator now. So let me ask you first up, as Secretary of State, back when you were Secretary of State, which was what, about 10 years ago now? Or
15. I was
15?
Secretary of State
Wow.
from 09 to 15.
Okay.
09 to 2015.
So how was it different then, do you think, being Secretary of State compared to being it now?
Not much at all.
Oh, really?
I think it was very similar. I never anticipated being Secretary of State, but when Janet Napolitano left the governor's office to go be on President Obama's cabinet, Jan Brewer ascended.
Right.
And Jan and I had worked on some legislation after the Florida debacle and the Help America Vote Act, HAVA Act, and millions of dollars pouring into Arizona. I was president of the Senate. She was secretary. So
Right.
we worked on a bunch of things. She appointed me to
But
replace her. But as I've worked closely with the current secretary, Adrian Fontes, I see almost no difference between what the office's role is now compared to what I was doing 12, 15 years ago.
So back 12, 15 years ago, when you were doing this job, and Arizona had basically the same mail-in ballot procedure we have now, right? Mm-hmm. The laws were basically the same then as they are now?
Yeah.
Were there any evidence, any issues at that time, anyone call into controversy that elections were stolen or there was election fraud?
Well, there were.
To the extent that it would overturn the results of an election.
The biggest thing that we had was out of Yuma County. We had some people in Yuma County claiming that there was massive ballot harvesting going on in Yuma County at that time. And I went down personally with some of my staff, and we began the investigation. Interestingly enough, the people who were alleged to have been doing it back then were just now, I think a year or two ago.
Oh, the same folks that were convicted.
Yes, that were convicted in Yuma. So I started that investigation, and it culminated in, I think, a couple ladies down there, or 3 or 4, who were convicted of ballot harvesting. It's always hard to determine whether they harvested enough ballots, especially illegal ballots, to have changed the outcome of an election. But yes, there was allegations of ballot harvesting going on 15 years ago.
So combining your experience as Secretary of State, which oversees the elections, it doesn't run the elections for the state of Arizona.
Right.
And seeing the audit up close, knowing the official results were remarkably close to what the audit found, do you have faith in Arizona's election integrity as we head into 2024, another presidential race?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay.
But I believe we do need more transparency and trackability and public verifiability of the results so that the 30, 40% of the population that believe or don't believe that our elections have integrity, we need to be able to prove to them. I don't know that we can prove to all of them, but you know, there were Democrats around the country in 2016 who alleged election non-integrity, whether it was Russian interference or something, as to the explanation why Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And then 4 years later, it was the reverse. When Trump loses, he personally, and I think his voice has kind of initiated the strong feeling within the Republican Party nationwide and here in Arizona that the only way he could have lost was the election was stolen.
Okay.
We hand counted 2.1 million ballots. No, it wasn't 2.1 million. It was 2,089,563. We hand counted 2,089,000.
Yes, number, yeah.
563 ballots in Maricopa County.
Yeah.
And Trump did not lose Maricopa County by 40,000. He lost by 40,350.
Right. So it actually ended up being more that he lost by.
Or more.
Ken Bennett is with us, former Arizona Secretary of State. Ken, do you think, given your involvement as Secretary of State, as a state senator, and involved in the audit that occurred, do you think Arizona's election system has integrity, is strong, is secure, is safe?
Yes, but it can be improved. And
so what would you like to see changed as a result?
I'd like to see more transparency.
Okay.
I ran a bill last year that got bipartisan support in the legislature, had the support of current Secretary of State, Democrat, Adrian Fontes, and unfortunately Governor Hobbs vetoed it.
What would that bill have done?
That bill would have said that every time we have an election, the election departments from the 15 counties would release 4 pieces of information to the public so that they can verify the results to whatever degree they want to. One would be the list of who was eligible to vote in the election. That's already public information. And then after the election occurs, a list of who voted, the images of the ballots, and what's called the cast vote record, which is the spreadsheet where all the votes from the ballots are tabulated into the spreadsheet. If you have those 4 pieces of information, you would know that no one from the list of who was eligible and the list of who voted, you would be able to determine that no one was either registered or voted more than one time per person. With the list of who voted and the ballot images, which are anonymous, you don't know whose ballot.
Right.
But you would know that there's one ballot for everyone that voted, no more, no less. And if you have the spreadsheet on which the votes from those ballots are tabulated, you can go to ballot 562 and see that somebody voted for Smith and Jones and Garcia in whatever races they were running in.
And if you want to spend all the time counting them yourself.
You can go to row 562 of the spreadsheet and see that the system recorded a vote for Smith and Jones Garcia.
I remember when this bill was proposed, because I actually had I feel like it was almost an hour-long conversation with Adrian Fontes on the phone, because I'd done a commentary about it, about how far are we going to go to you're going to expose my ballot and all this stuff. But it makes sense when you put it that way, and it made sense when Adrian Fontes put it to me, that basically your ballot's anonymous anyway, so you might as well publish that information out there on the internet.
Well, if you belong to a club or an HOA and something controversial came up and there was 100 or 500 people that were going to vote, and you wanted to make sure that the votes were tabulated correctly, that's exactly what you would do. You would make sure that only people who lived in the HOA got to vote.
Right.
You would identify how many voted and make sure that there were the same number of ballots as the number of people who voted. And then you would look at the ballots themselves and the spreadsheet that you added up the votes on to make sure that they were added up correctly. That's what you would do.
That is State Senator Ken Bennett, former Secretary of State and the former liaison to the famous or infamous audit, however you want to look at it, going back to 2021. He will continue to join me and Barry Markson here on Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out, as we continue our special look at election integrity. Coming up, we'll ask him if he ever felt like he's been cheated in any of his election losses. That's coming up.
Made it through the summer with an older AC system? Congrats! Not so lucky? Had an expensive repair? No worries. Right now, Parker & Sons will refund in cash, that's right, cash, what you paid for that repair, up to $2,000, even if you didn't use Parker when you buy a new AC system from Parker. And new systems are just $99 a month, $3 a day.
I tipped that for lunch. Wow.
Call Parker at 602, the number 2, then REPAIR.
It's time to transform your backyard dreams into reality with Dolphin Pools. At Dolphin Pools, you can expect a wide range of designs to suit any lifestyle and budget. Our team of skilled designers and craftsmen will work closely with you on every detail. We're committed to your time frame and goals. It's why we have been in business for almost 40 years right here in the Valley. Book a one-on-one consultation at dolphinpools.us or stop by one of our 2 Valley locations. Dolphin Pools, Arizona's #1 pool company.
I served my country honorably in the Marine Corps, and now I've been serving you for over 2 decades. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth. I met my wife on a blind date at Camp Lejeune. She also served in the Marines. My daughter recently graduated college, and my son was an air traffic controller in the Air Force. They also work in the business. Why am I telling you this? Because Trajan Wealth is both our livelihood and our family's reputation. Will we work hard for you? You're darn right. I don't have a board of directors to answer to. The buck stops here. My fiduciary duty is to you, the Trajan Wealth client. If you have an old 401k to roll over, or if you're working with an advisor who just isn't cutting the mustard and you need a second opinion, give Trajan Wealth a call. We have hearts of teachers, and we will take on your retirement battle together.
Call 480-990-3300 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Sundays on KTAR News is the new home for the #1 radio health talk show in America, The Dr. Bob Martin Show. Dr. Martin is a chiropractic physician, a board-certified clinical nutritionist, and diplomate of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. Got a health-related problem or challenge? Not feeling well, and you just don't know where to turn or what to do? Dr. Bob Martin is here for you every Sunday from 10 a.m. till noon. The Dr. Bob Martin Show, now on KTAR News.
72 Sold is now the #1 fastest growing real estate company in Arizona and in the top 5 fastest growing real estate companies in the country in Inc. magazine. I'm Jamie West, and there's a reason the accolades just keep rolling in for 72 Sold. Their program works, and it's changing the way America sells homes for the better. 72 Sold makes selling your home fast and easy, and you can walk away with thousands more. Just put in your address to get your price, a higher price, at 72sold.com.
Sometimes the truth is hidden in the shadows. So at 12 News, we bring truth into the light. A death at a group home, the details buried.
Drop them off at one of these houses and then abandon them. And there has been no help.
But the journalists at 12 News stepped in, investigated, and got answers for the families.
It's justice.
It's journalism.
It's what we're doing.
And what we'll continue to do.
Every newscast, every day. 12 News.
Honey, can you swing by the post office and grab some stamps?
Done.
And drop off these packages?
Sure thing, honey.
Oh, and get the tracking info.
Got it.
But you haven't moved.
I know. How great is that?
This holiday season, the Postal Service is closer than ever with convenient ship-from-home services like label printing, free package pickup, and delivery notifications. You can send more holiday joy from the comfort of home. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Ship from home at USPS.com/holidayjoy.
Does it get any more American than Ford? Ford is America for over 100 years. Paul Calvise here. We just bought again from our Desert Ford dealers. My first car was a classic Ford Mustang. My grandfather worked for Ford Motor. But make no mistake, Ford is the future. That all-new 2023 F-150 with the all-new interior designed to be the toughest, most productive F-150 ever. In fact, no outlet, no problem. Just plug in all those power tools right into your F-150. Speaking of, how about the 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E, 100% electric, 100% SUV. I drove it. I'm like, man, I see why they call this the new shape of freedom, with 0 to 60 thrills, the expansive range, 0 tailpipe emissions. And don't forget to download the Ford Pass app and earn Ford Pass rewards points for complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford. Or you can place your order and lock in your offer. Just click buyfordnow.com. buyfordnow.com.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Smith with Oliver Smith Jeweler. Dad, why do we sell so many pairs of diamond studs?
About 10 years ago, I started importing diamonds direct, cutting out the wholesaler, the middleman.
And you were able to drop the price?
Yeah, we dropped the price, but not the quality. We also started selling only GIA-certified diamond studs.
Why is that so important?
It's so important because our clients can compare prices. The GIA is the most highly respected certification service in the diamond industry. Clients appreciate transparency.
That is how you built such a great reputation.
Trust is so important.
If you are looking for a pair of diamond studs, look no further than Oliver Smith Jeweler.
Oliver Smith Jeweler, for the best deal on diamond studs. Put us to the test.
Visit us at Gainey Ranch, Scottsdale, or at our new location in Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall. Oliver Smith Jeweler, for diamond studs that will sparkle for generations to come.
Arizona's news station. KTAR, on air, 92.3 FM, online at KTAR.com, and streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
It's 12:30. I'm Jeff Munn. Here's our top story.
Arizona votes 2024 1 year out.
An up-and-coming political party is hoping to provide voters with an alternative in the upcoming 2024 election. Joe Cunningham, the No Labels Party National Director, tells the Mike Broomhead Show what types of candidates you might see on the ballot.
This ain't going to be a fringe candidate, and this is not going to be a spoiler. This is not going to be somebody who takes disproportionately from one side or the other. This is going to be a solid ticket that Americans are going to take a very hard look at.
He says many Americans aren't happy with the potential presidential race rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and that's drawing more people to the No Labels Party.
Everybody's got a super PAC somewhere.
NBC News chief political analyst Chuck Todd tells KTAR's special election show you have to have a billionaire donor to run for Senate. He says you can expect Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego, Republican candidate for Arizona Senator Carrie Lake, and Independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema, if she decides to run again, to all have at least one billionaire writing a check for them. Tune in all week as we bring you a special news series, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. We'll be looking ahead at the big races and the issues that will be on your ballot. You can read, watch, and listen to our extensive coverage on 92.3 FM, the KTAR News app, and at KTAR.com, and our special show focusing on election integrity with Jim Sharp and Barry Markson continues in just a few moments. Former Arizona Senator Martha McSally says she was sexually assaulted in Omaha yesterday. In a video on Instagram, she described what happened while she was running.
A man came up behind me and he engulfed me in a bear hug and he molested and fondled me until I fought him off. I then chased him down. In this moment, I was in a fight, flight, or freeze, and I chose to fight.
McSally says she threw a water bottle at him and chased him into the brush until police got there. She says as someone who has experienced assault before, it felt like taking her power back. KTAR eyes on the economy. The downtown Phoenix area has become a huge economic force, and that's only expected to grow. A new study from Valley economist Jim Brown says the area successfully supported 140,100 total jobs last year, with a $21 billion economic impact. Many of these high-wage jobs in bioscience, software engineering, and cybersecurity.
And we have almost $9 billion in personal income, or what people are making in their paychecks.
He believes over the next 5 years, employment will increase by 10.6%, adding approximately 6,700 workers. Get an update on traffic as we go live to the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center. Here's Chuck Rowe.
Well, Jeff, we're still seeing big delays behind a couple of crashes. One is on the I-17 northbound before Bethany Home Road. The right 3 lanes are blocked there. Watch for delays coming up from the I-10 stack starting before you get to McDowell Road. Also on the I-10 westbound after Avondale Boulevard, the HOV and the left 2 lanes still blocked with a very serious crash there. And for as far as alternate routes, the backup, by the way, starts at 75th Avenue there. Avoid McDowell. That's not a good alternate. Maybe take Van Buren to the south or Indian School further north. Now, there is a crash west of there. Indian School at the Loop 303. Germain Road west of Gilbert Road. Watch for a collision there and a wreck at Buckeye Road at 107th Avenue. I'm Chuck Rowe, KTAR News.
Sunny today with a high of 79. Tonight clear, the low 54. Right now in Phoenix, sunny skies, 74 degrees. Weather's brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Jeff Munn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
A KTAR News Special, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. Hosted by Jim Sharp on 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
And, of course, by my side, KTAR News legal analyst Barry Markson, as we take a close look at election integrity. And our guest right now is Ken Bennett, State Senator Ken Bennett, who served as Secretary of State from, 2009 to 2015?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also served as the liaison to the 2021 audit of Maricopa County votes that was brought to us by the state senate at that time. All right, so I wanted to ask you real quickly, and then Barry, you can take over and get all up in his face and stuff here. Do you feel,
I wondered who was going to be good cop, bad cop. Now I know.
Do you feel like you've ever been cheated in any of your election losses in Arizona?
No, but I was when my first election was to the Prescott City Council in Prescott in 1984. I was 25 years old. And of the 2 seats that were available, I won by several hundred. But the guy that won second beat the guy in third who did not get that second seat by 3 votes.
Well, it's Prescott.
But
which is only slightly bigger than my hometown of Page, right?
Well, so I have been involved in close elections. The closest election Arizona's had, there was a legislative district about 25 years ago where the first person got the first seat, but the second and third were tied. They did a recount. They were still tied. They did another recount. They were tied. And per Arizona law, you play a game of chance.
Yeah.
And then the Speaker of the House at that time was Jane Hull, who later became governor.
Right.
And she decided that they were going to play 8-card stud. Yeah. And she sent somebody down. They got a deck of cards, shuffled them. And the one person got a queen high, and the other one got a pair of 8s. And the pair of 8s won.
There you go.
You never forget anything. He remembered the exact number of ballots counted, too, and everything.
Better than a duel, I'll tell you that. That's what we used to do.
You can draw straws, you can do whatever. But Arizona state law says if you've tied after 2 recounts, you do a game of chance.
Wow.
Ken Bennett is joining us, former Arizona Secretary of State, current state senator. So, Ken, let me ask you a couple questions, if I could. One question people ask me a lot, for the folks who are claiming voter fraud or stolen election, how is it that the Republicans on the ballot who won, the election was okay for them, but it wasn't for those who lost? You know what I'm saying? So how is it that Trump lost and there must have been cheating, but there were a whole bunch of Republicans on that ballot in 2020 who won, and nobody says a word about them? How did that happen?
To me, that proves that the election was correct.
Okay.
Or in 2022, you've got Carrie Lake barely losing by 17,000 votes to Katie Hobbs.
Right.
But you've got Kimberly Yee, Republican woman running for state treasurer.
Who got more votes than
got more votes than anybody.
Well, and you got David Schweikert in his district who got more Republican votes than Carrie Lake.
You got Tom Horn winning the superintendent of public instruction race. That's what we saw on the ballots in the audit.
Right.
There's for some reason, there's a large group of Republicans who have been, I think, told by President Trump that I couldn't have lost unless it was fraud, who just almost refused to believe that somebody could vote for Martha McSally but not vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
And we saw that on the ballots in Maricopa County. So we saw people who split their votes.
Who voted for Republicans but didn't vote for Trump.
Or vice versa.
Right. And that's people do that.
That's what happens.
That's exactly right.
There were 120,000. Carrie Lake got 120,000 fewer votes than Kimberly Yee did.
That's exactly right.
Mark Fincham lost in the Secretary of State's race, the number 2 race in Arizona. He got 200,000 fewer votes than Kimberly Yee got.
Right.
So instead of looking at the facts and saying, okay, Kimberly Yee must have done something different in her campaign, and she did. She didn't align herself entirely with Trump.
Right.
She didn't tell people who showed up at campaign town halls and raised their hand when she said, "Are you a McCain voter?" to get out of here.
Right.
She didn't do some of those things, and she won by 200,000 votes.
That's exactly right. Ken Bennett's with us. So, Ken, let me ask you, and I agree with you, and I know you got involved in the audit because you wanted to add some credibility to it. You wanted to see if it was something that was going to be helpful to the state and to try to persuade people who were afraid the integrity had been lost that it was there, hopefully.
Right.
In hindsight now, and after what we've seen with the emails that have been released and the text messages where, Karen Fann was saying this was not a partisan thing, this was not a Trump thing. But in reality, there were texts and messages between the Senate leadership and Trump's people, and between Doug Logan and Trump's people. And with what we've learned or not learned from the audit, in hindsight, do you think it helped to persuade people that our election in Arizona was safe and secure, or did it go the other way? Just the fact that we had the audit indicated to some people that there must have been fraud.
I think the fact, if I had to do it over again, I would still be involved, but only if they would have allowed me more authority over what was done in the audit. I had zero to say about what was done on a daily basis.
I remember they kicked you out sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I would only have, if I were asked to do it again, I would only be willing to do that if the Senate allowed me to have some oversight, like I was when I was a secretary. In fact, I think that's why they asked me to be.
But do you think it helped or didn't help?
It didn't help.
Okay.
It entrenched those who were convinced, because President Trump said he lost by fraud, that, okay, they didn't prove anything, or they found enough questions about this or that it just solidified in their mind. If the audit would have focused on the four things that I talked about earlier: images of the ballots, do they match with the spreadsheet on which we added up all the votes? Is there a ballot for every person who voted? No more, no less. If they'd have done some things in the audit, now in retrospect, the way that I think we could have or should have, I think we could have changed minds. As it happened, it just kind of entrenched everybody in their already belief.
All right. That is State Senator Ken Bennett, former Secretary of State. The current Secretary of State is joining us in about 20 minutes on Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out.
Now is a great time to start making smarter money decisions. Dave Ramsey here. Give the outside of your home some much-needed curb appeal with Rhino Shield permanent ceramic coating. Painting your home with traditional paint means you'll have to repaint every 4 to 5 years, costing you more over time. But with Rhino Shield permanent ceramic coating, you won't have to touch the exterior again for years. Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty. Your home will always look like it's just been freshly painted, guaranteed. No chipping, no flaking, no peeling, no kidding. So, if you're thinking about painting your exterior, call Rhino Shield first for a free estimate and ask about their ceramic technology and its ability to reduce your cooling costs. Perfect for the Arizona climate. Tell them Dave Ramsey sent you, and you get 20% off a regular price. So call 855-487-4466 or visit rhinoshieldaz.com today.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, it's Dieter Dan here with my friend Wayne from AMCO.
Hey, Dan, so I got a freak-out call the other day from a listener who was driving down the road with a friend. Her check engine light came on and she was hysterical.
I guess everyone hates car troubles. What did you do?
Well, I told her not to freak out, take a breath, and to drive her car to the nearest AMCO. Dan, we have a free check engine light check.
Really? With no appointment? It's usually a hassle to get scheduled.
Not at AMCO. AMCO will check your engine light codes for free while you wait. Now, if further diagnostics are needed, we'll give you an estimate as to the price and time required to find out what's really wrong.
Well, that makes sense. So sometimes you have to dig deeper to find the real cause of the problem.
That's right, Dan. AMCO believes in transparency and making sure our customers have all the information they need to make informed decisions about their car.
So there you go. When that dang check engine light starts causing you stress, relax and Google AMCO for your nearest location. That's AMCO, AA, MCO, transmissions, and a whole lot more.
Hi, everyone. Tom Chambers here. You've probably been hearing a lot of people talking about investing in why refi lately. Well, I'm here to tell you it's true. You can invest in a secure, collateralized portfolio with a high fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. And you'll know what each monthly statement will look like with no surprises. Your interest is compounded daily, you're paid monthly, and there are no fees. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. And get this, there is absolutely no loss of principal if you ever need your money back. Just go to investwhyrefi.com or call 888-YREFI24. That's 888-YREFI24. Folks, you know I'll only endorse companies that I believe in. If you're not sure if you trust this economy, take my advice and give YREFI a call. Just go to invest, the letter Y, then REFY.com or call 888-YREFI24. That's 888-YREFI24 and tell them Tom Chambers sent you.
KTAR News Flash.
At 12:45, I'm Jeff Munn. Here's what you need to know right now. Jobs and the economy will be the biggest issue for Latino voters in the 2024 presidential race, but Northern Arizona University politics and international affairs professor Stephen Nuno told the Gatos and Chad show abortion will also be on the minds of younger Latino voters. Former Maricopa County Recorder Helen Purcell tells KTAR she's proud of the legacy she left at the recorder's office after serving for 29 years. Looking at how things have changed since then, the Republican says the only thing she's not a fan of is negative reactions from candidates about elections after they've lost. Our Arizona Votes special show focusing on election integrity continues in just a few moments. Grammy-nominated rapper Post Malone will take the stage during February's WM Phoenix Open. Post Malone is headlining this third year of concerts at the Coliseum Series on Saturday, February 3rd. Tickets go on sale November 15th at WMPhoenixOpen.com. You're never more than 15 minutes away from today's top stories on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Hey there, it's Mike Broomhead. You know we're always talking about Sweet James accident attorneys for good reason. Here's a story that proves why you should never face an insurance company alone if you're hurt in an accident. So one of our listeners was seriously injured in a trucking accident. Guess what the insurance company offered him for his injuries? Zero. Nothing. Well, he called Sweet James. Not only did they have his medical bills taken care of, but they secured a whopping $10 million win. I mean, that's life-changing money, right? Listen, in the legal system, having the right attorney makes all the difference. That's why you call a firm known for consistently delivering the top results in the state. Call 800-9-MILLION. That's 800-9-MILLION. You won't pay a dime until they win your case. Every case is unique. They can't promise an outcome, but you need to have an experienced team by your side. Don't wait. Call because waiting may hurt your case. 800-9-MILLION. That's 800-900-0000 or online at sweetjames.com.
Proud partner of your Phoenix Suns.
Ever wondered what your home's exterior could look like, or are you settling for second best? At America's Home Pros, we believe in possibilities, in transforming the ordinary into extraordinary. Right now, you can get our professional exterior painting and repair service at an unbeatable 30% off. Schedule your free estimate today at ahomepros.com.
America's Home Pros. Repair, replace, repaint. Call 480-590-1055.
Are you confused by mixed messages and conflicting information regarding water treatment? Let the experts guide you through the options. Are you wondering if you need whole house filtration, softening, conditioning, descaling, or purification? Should you use salt or go no salt? And just what is your city removing from your tap water? Call the water treatment experts at Connecticut. They've helped hundreds of thousands of Arizona families improve their water quality, and they're ready to help you. 602-910-6570. ConnecticutAZ.com. Tell them Gato sent you.
A KTAR News Special. Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. Hosted by Jim Sharp on 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
And, of course, KTAR legal... you're not legal expert. Legal analyst? Is that what do you prefer? What term do you prefer, Barry Markson?
You can call me the captain, my captain. Okay. That's what I prefer.
As we take a special look at election integrity heading into the big election year of 2024. Real quickly, before we get to Ballin Overstolz, you felt really good about what Ken Bennett had to say.
Yeah, I mean, and Ken, look, I've always liked Ken Bennett. He's an honest guy, and you can agree or disagree with his politics, but I think he's a good person overall, and he was right in the middle of this audit that we did after the 2020 election. And what he said today is the truth. Number one, Jim, you asked a question. They actually found more votes for Biden than the actual official count. So it was close, a couple hundred, but it was very close. That they found that he was looking at the ballots, that Republicans voted down ballot for other Republicans and didn't vote for Trump. Right. And there were tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of votes like that. And that's what the difference was. It wasn't stolen. When you ask Ken Bennett the question, how is it all these other Republicans won and Trump lost, but that means that there was only corruption in Trump's election? Obviously, the answer to that is it's impossible. And he said that. And I thought that was great from a person who was right there in the middle of it.
We are going to now chat with Balin Overstolz, who's a KTAR news reporter. And you talked to a lot of people as part of our series this week of, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out, about election integrity, including the authors of a book called The Misinformation Age, How False Beliefs Are Spread. So according to these authors, how do falsehoods on this massive scale get spread? It's not like, when Barry and I were young, we played telephone.
Yeah. Hey, Jim. Hey, Barry. Thanks for having me. There's a few factors that go into this, and it actually really starts with the human mind. Misinformation is not a new phenomenon, but the internet is. So people have always been naturally sort of inclined to believe what they call false beliefs, and everybody has false beliefs. Plenty of us probably have harmless ones.
I think I'm good looking, so there's that one, right?
And I'll even, reference the cover of their book. It's the jackalope. It's a Southwestern myth that is a product of how when people speak with each other, untrue things come out. Mm-hmm. Now, they say we're in a crisis now because of, one, obviously the internet. That just increased the speed of everything, of how we speak with each other. But they also say there is now an arm of politicians who are putting intention into spreading lies about elections and candidates.
Wow, interesting. You talked to Joe Blackburn as well, who runs the Integrity Project. The Integrity Project, I basically have an idea of what they do, but what do they see their role as in this misinformation age?
Yeah, so they're a new apolitical nonprofit that has tasked themselves with researching and coming up with solutions for misinformation. And they're also a really new organization. In fact, it kind of reflects the newness of this problem itself, right? Misinformation coming up in our elections. But they've tasked themselves with coming up with research and educational responses to misinformation. And right now, one thing they're dialed into is finding ways to promote media literacy in schools. He compared it to the way schools used to teach civics, basically.
So did they have any ideas for what a regular person could do? I mean, if you're on Twitter, on social media, you see misinformation all the time. And a lot of people don't realize it or don't want to realize it. But what is the best way to counteract that? If somebody posts something, let's say about the election being stolen, that is obviously false, is it best to ignore it? Is it best to respond with factual information? Is it best to call them names and run? What's the best thing?
What do they suggest?
Yeah, definitely not the names and running, because that's something they specifically pointed out is there is, as misinformation spreads, it does promote hostility between people who might believe something and people who don't believe something. So, telling people that they're wrong isn't always going to be the best approach, as counterintuitive as that sounds. I'll reference what Supervisor Bill Gates says is what their response is just keep repeating the truth aggressively, loudly, and they're trying to even kind of preempt misinformation before it goes viral. So really the best defense to misinformation, according to everybody I spoke to, is the truth.
It's interesting. I'm on Twitter a little bit, Jim. I don't know if you're aware of that. And
a little bit.
One of the things
he's on it so much he hasn't even noticed it's changed to X.
I'm not calling it X. One of the things I did, and I still do, when I see that people say something, and I say, "Show us the evidence." I'm an attorney,
right?
And I'm show me the facts. Show me the evidence. If you're going to make an allegation, show us what is supporting that allegation. And if you can't do that, it's false. And I like to think, and I've had a lot of people come up and tell me that that's helpful to them, that they actually like when I do that, because they can see if the response to my question is not an answer, but rather an attack on me, then they know what they just read is false.
You mentioned Bill Gates, county supervisor, who really caught it in the face from a lot of people, a lot of election deniers, because the Board of Supervisors actually runs the general election as opposed to the primary, which is run by the county recorder. How is he doing? I know he's decided he's done with political office. When his term runs out, he's not running for supervisor again. Does he seem to be healing from all the craziness that went on around him?
I mean, from our conversation, I would say so, because he's so intent on combating this with, really directly finding ways to curb misinformation and make sure that information doesn't spread. And like I said, on their end, their front is education and spreading the truth and being very loud about the truth.
All right. KTAR news reporter Balin Overstoles. You will hear more about this tomorrow, won't we?
Yes, you'll hear my story tomorrow.
Yeah. So, you want to tune in tomorrow morning. I think there'll be the Balin stories will be running around 5:20, 6:20, and 7:20 on Arizona's Morning News with Jim Sharp and Jamie West. Our KTAR news special focused on election integrity, Arizona Votes 2024 1 year out, continues next. I'm Jim Sharp, along with Barry Markson.
Hey, it's Mike Broomhead for my good friends at Tombstone Tactical. Great service, great selection, great prices. #1 Daniel Defense, #1 Smith & Wesson dealer in Arizona. So that means not only do they have a great selection, nobody beats their prices. Their customer service is second to none in their brand new, beautiful store that is located north of Dunlap Road on the west side of the I-17. You can't miss it. Get down there. You're going to love them at Tombstone Tactical. Shop online at tombstonetactical.com. Do it now. tombstonetactical.com.
Heat things up with Black Friday deals all month long at Collins Comfort Masters. Purchase a brand new energy-efficient heating and air conditioning system and receive a free water heater. That's right, a free water heater. But wait, there's more. We're offering exclusive Black Friday financing options for as little as $89 a month. This incredible offer is only available for a limited time, so act now and call 480-NO-WORRY or visit our website, collinscomfort.com, for all your AC, heating, plumbing, and water softener needs.
Hi, this is Stuart Willis, President of Asset Preservation Wealth and Tax. A personal relationship with your financial advisor really matters. It's super important that you have the ability to talk about anything you need to with your advisor. So if you have been pushed off to a call center and you don't have a one-on-one relationship with your financial advisor, then reach out to us at assetpreservationwealth.com. That's assetpreservationwealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Here's to shining bright this holiday season from Shane Company. To giving the perfect gift, fine jewelry made with the greatest care. To proposing on Christmas Eve with a ring created just for them. Here's to hand-selected gemstones in every color of the rainbow. To diamonds that tell your love story. Pendants that remind someone how truly special they are. And pearls that will be passed down for generations. 'Tis the season to shine. Shane Company. Fine jewelry since 1929.
School is in full swing, and so is Pay Tribute to a Teacher, brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealers. In a world where knowledge shapes the future, there are those who light the way. They are our teachers. If you know a teacher who ignites curiosity in your child and fosters a love for learning, text the word teacher to 411-923 and nominate them for a $2,500 bonus. Pay Tribute to a Teacher, brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Message and data rates may apply.
Where is your pain? In your knees, hips, your back? Don't let it sideline you any longer. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics now for the future of pain relief. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue the natural way. This is the science of using properties from your own body to bring you lasting relief with no drugs and no downtime. Get started now so you can live big in 2024. Talk about a great use of your FSA and HSA. Put them to work getting you the relief you need so badly. These new advanced regenerative treatments are getting amazing reviews for people with arthritic pain or pain from an injury. Again, no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Let the medical professionals at QC Kinetics give you a better path toward that pain-free life. Call QC Kinetics now with clinics in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Peoria, and Chandler. 602-837-PAIN. That's 602-837-PAIN. 602-837-PAIN.
72 Sold is the #1 fastest growing real estate company in Arizona, and they're top 5 in the country. This is Jim Sharp, and for the second year in a row, 72 Sold has made the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies in America. Why? Well, because with 72 Sold, you can sell your home in only 8 days. Any 8 days you choose. And they get home sellers thousands more. Put in your address at 72sold.com to get your price. A higher price at 72sold.com.
Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
Hey, small business owner. Are you ready to have the best year ever in 2024? When's the last time you checked your workers' comp rate? For many small businesses, workers' comp insurance is one of their biggest costs. But Pi Insurance could save you up to 30% in just 3 minutes. Go to trypi.com, share a few details about your business, and get a quote that's customized for your business. No hassles or hidden fees. We know you're busy, but spending just a few minutes to check your rate could make this your best year ever. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote at trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
KTAR-FM, Glendale, Phoenix. This is Arizona's news station. KTAR News, 92.3 FM. Arizona's news station. News station. KTAR, on air, 92.3 FM, online at KTAR.com, and streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
It's 1 o'clock. I'm Jeff Munn. Here's our top story.
Arizona votes 2024 1 year out.
You may see a new party on your ballot in this upcoming election, and now we're learning more about what its candidates will stand for. KTAR's Colton Krolak is live in the News Center with more.
The No Labels Party was created to try to cross the political divide, according to the party's national director, Joe Cunningham. He tells the Mike Broomhead Show that many Americans aren't happy with a potential presidential race rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
You know, we're getting a lot of people driven into our camp because of these two presumptive nominees. And it's no secret, you know, that the majority of Americans are looking for something different.
He says Americans have more in common than those on the far right or the far left, and having leaders who can work across the aisle is key. Live in the News Center, Colton Krolak, KTAR News.
It was a fiery third Republican presidential debate, and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley found herself playing a central role.
As we've seen from the previous two Republican primary debates, the candidate most attacked usually gains the most traction, and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley was that person. Things got heated when candidate Vivek Ramaswamy started talking about banning TikTok.
While her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time, so you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it, and that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy
scum.
answer.
M. Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
Former Maricopa County Recorder Helen Purcell tells KTAR she's proud of the legacy she left as the longest reigning recorder in the county's history. KTAR's Heidi Hommel is live in the News Center with the details.
Yeah, Jeff. However, Purcell says she's not happy with the rhetoric currently surrounding our elections.
The only thing that I'm not a fan of is the reaction about the elections, both from candidates and from others.
The Republican adds voters should feel comfortable voting early or on Election Day and trust that their vote will be counted. Reporting live in the News Center, Heidi Hommel, KTAR News.
Tune in all week as we bring you a special news series, Arizona Votes 2024 1 year out. We'll be looking ahead at the big races and the issues that will be on your ballot. You can read, watch, and listen to our extensive coverage on 92.3 FM, the KTAR News app, and on KTAR.com, and our special program, Arizona Votes 2024, focusing on election integrity with Jim Sharp and Barry Markson, continues in just a few moments. The Biden administration says Israel has agreed to daily pauses starting today in its war against Hamas in Gaza. The breakthrough comes as efforts continue to free hundreds of hostages taken by Hamas during the group's October 7th terror attack on Israel.
The White House says Israel agreeing to a daily 4-hour pause in strikes on areas of northern Gaza is a, quote, step in the right direction. National Security spokesman John Kirby told reporters Thursday the pause will allow for more humanitarian aid into localized areas in Gaza and could provide enough of a window of time to help civilians get to safety. As for the hostages held by Hamas,
it could also provide brief windows of opportunity for safe passage for those hostages from where they're being held to safer ground.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
KTAR eyes on the economy. The downtown Phoenix area has become a huge economic force, and that's only expected to grow. A new study from Valley economist Jim Round says the area successfully supported 140,100 total jobs last year, with a $21 billion economic impact. Many of these high-wage jobs in bioscience, software engineering, and cybersecurity.
And we have almost $9 billion in personal income, or what people are making in their paychecks.
He believes over the next 5 years, employment will increase by 10.6%, adding approximately 6,700 workers.
We're seeing familiar faces on the other side of the line, and that's just not something we're used to dealing with.
We're 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving, and Valley nonprofit St. Mary's still needs 9,000 turkeys to make sure all families get to enjoy a holiday meal. The organization's overall need has skyrocketed, and they need more meals than last year. Head to St. Mary's Food Bank's website to see how to donate or get help. Let's get an update on traffic as we go live to the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center. Here's Chuck Rowe.
Well, Jeff, we're still seeing big delays behind this crash on the I-10 westbound after Avondale Boulevard. This has been here for several hours now. The HOV and the left 2 lanes are still blocked, and the backup starts at about 75th Avenue. If you're looking for a surface street alternate, McDowell won't be it. It's very heavy. Everybody's taking that route. Maybe try Van Buren to the south, or Buckeye Road even further south will be better. I-17 northbound before Bethany Home Road. That earlier crash is cleared. A new wreck in Tempe, University at the 101. This traffic report brought to you by America's Home Pros. Repair, replace, repaint. And right now you can get professional exterior painting and repair service at an unbeatable 30% off. Schedule your free estimate today. Call America's Home Pros, ahomepros.com. I'm Chuck Rowe, KTAR News.
Sunny today with a high of 79. Tonight clear, the low 54. Right now in Phoenix, sunny skies, 76 degrees. Weather's brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Jeff Munn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
A KTAR News special. Arizona votes 2024 1 year out. Talking about the upcoming election on KTAR News 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
Thank you for tuning in. And if you're listening to us on 92.3 FM or the KTAR News app, a reminder that you can watch me, Jim Sharp, and KTAR legal analyst Barry Markson on our live stream on KTAR.com and catch any part that you missed when the whole thing is posted later on KTAR.com. A little later on, Barry, I want to pick at your legal mind a little bit.
All right.
Like, so a little after 1:30, we're going to run through all of the cases that were brought by the so-called election deniers.
Yes.
And try and make some sense out of them if there was anywhere where these folks were right. And speaking of that, let's get to our next guest. Last hour, we spoke with a former Secretary of State, the office that oversees elections for Arizona. That would be Republican Ken Bennett. Now we'll speak with the current Secretary of State, Democrat Adrian Fontes. Now, prior to running for and winning the office of Secretary of State, Mr. Fontes was Maricopa County Recorder, the office that oversees elections for Arizona's most populous county. Welcome to the show. Appreciate your time again.
Happy to be here.
So, Secretary Fontes, I had current Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer on Arizona's Morning News the other day, and he said that while he doesn't agree with any of the accusations that were made by the so-called election deniers, he still thinks this.
I take to heart what they are concerned about, and I take to heart what they have questions about, because I think that we can always be improving our practices. And it's interesting to me where they want more documentation, where they want more video cameras, what their presumptions are about different things. So if anything is just sort of guided us where we want to strengthen systems.
Have you taken anything to heart when it comes to the concerns of the MAGA folks?
Well, I would take it to heart if there was any evidence that there was any issues in the first place. I'm absolutely happy that Mr. Richer and election administrators across the state are willing to engage in a lot more transparency and open facilities more and do more, a lot of the accountability stuff. But, you know, when you've got the kinds of allegations that have been made and zero evidence to back them up, I don't take it to heart so much as I do agree that there's always room for improvement, but it's tough to take it to heart when you and your family have been subjected to threats, and you've seen some people have to leave their jobs because of threats and intimidation based on lies, based on conspiracy theories, and based on nonsense. So Mr. Richer is an earnest fellow. I like him very much. I think he's an honest guy. And again, I agree. We could always do more to improve our transparency and our accountability to the public. We are public servants. But I'm hesitant to wholeheartedly agree with that because of the motivations that I think some people have who have unjustly and without foundation disrupted lives for absolutely no reason.
Adrian Fontes joins us, Arizona Secretary of State. Mr. Secretary, let me ask you, just from what you just said, why do you think some of these election deniers are doing this? I mean, some are running for office and they view this as, I think it's their brand and how they raise money and whatever that comes with that. But why are so many Arizonans willing to go along with this when over the last several years since 2020, the evidence is overwhelming that there isn't any fraud, there isn't cheating. It just doesn't exist, and certainly not to the extent to change an election. Why do you think so many Arizonans are willing to believe it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? If we could figure out why they are, hornswoggled, I guess is the old word, or willing to believe these lies, we might be able to more easily counter a lot of what they are believing in, which does lead to some really bad behavior in a lot of cases. And it's difficult to understand why, particularly given, your question. There has been no evidence. There is no proof because it doesn't exist that there ever were some problems. I mean, in my own last campaign, you saw Mr. Fincham, who I ran against, saying that on January 6th he was at the Capitol, literally said to bring a binder of evidence to my representatives in Congress to prove that the election was stolen. Well, that binder has never surfaced, and none of the information in there ever actually existed. But he chose to lie, and some people chose to believe him. And that's where I think leadership really matters. And so I would implore a lot of the folks out there who might be hedging around this and saying, well, it's, people have concerns and this and that. Look, if you know it's a lie, call it a lie. Let's be honest. If you know that this is nonsense and it's hurting the democracy that supports our republic, grow a pair and say it. This is too important for the future of America, for our democracy, for our citizens to be dancing around. We need strong voices to come out against the nonsense, and I'm happy to be one of them. I'd like some company, however.
Yeah, I'm happy to join you. Adrian Fontes joining us here on KTAR. What do you say to people who say, well, and this is what I hear from a lot of people who really don't pay attention. It's very surface level for them. Well, there's people who claim election fraud on both sides. And in 2016, Hillary Clinton said, and her people said there was election fraud. What do you say to those people who try to make it a whataboutism? It's on both sides.
Whataboutism avoids accountability and responsibility. Whataboutism is a sort of an excuse to not take responsibility. We've got folks on all sides of the aisle who do bad things, right? That is true. However, we don't have people on all sides of the aisle who did not participate in a peaceful transfer of power and attempted to subvert the constitutional order that has held this country together. And I'll just say, whether or not I voted for her is irrelevant. Hillary Clinton did concede the election. And guess what? So did Al Gore.
Right.
And guess what? So did a lot of Republicans who ended up losing. And are people upset sometimes that they lost? Sure. But there's a big difference between complaining about the results of a political contest and claiming widespread fraud and claiming that it was fixed and claiming, against all reality, that the people who run our elections are just bad people and need to go to prison without any proof. That's my biggest issue here. We operate under the rule of law in this country, and it is the accuser's obligation to bring proof, to bring actual evidence. Rusty Bowers demanded that evidence of Rudy Giuliani, and Giuliani said, well, we've got a lot of theories, but we don't have any proof, admitting that this was all BS.
So we have always had lying politicians. I mean, the joke is, if a politician's mouth is moving, there's lies coming out, right? We've always had politicians that lie. Why, to this degree, are people buying into those lies? What do you think is special about this time that made it that way?
I honestly don't know, but the politics of grievance has taken hold, right? Oh, woe is me, woe is my side. I could not have lost, based on nothing, right? There's no way that I lost. And it's just too darn bad that we've got an entire generation of sore losers out there who just care more about the political outcome than they do about the nature of our system and the health of our society. They seem to care more about their team winning the game than they do about the fact that, you know what, we're all in this together. And Americans were sent overseas to die for democracy. Americans fought here for the right to vote. Protesters were hosed down in the streets. Dogs were loosed upon some folks so that women could vote, so that people of color could vote. And then to take all of that work and throw it away for a lie, that to me is unconscionable. So be mad about the political outcome, but don't blame the system without evidence and prevent a real outcome from being real and from us being a civil, ordered society. That doesn't make sense to me.
All right. When we come back, we're going to ask Adrian Fontes, the current Secretary of State, what we can do to change people's minds about election integrity, and that elections are integrous here in Arizona. As Arizona votes 2024 1 year out, our KTAR News special focused on election integrity continues. I'm Jim Sharp, along with KTAR legal analyst Barry Markson.
It's time to transform your backyard dreams into reality with Dolphin Pools. At Dolphin Pools, you can expect a wide range of designs to suit any lifestyle and budget. Our team of skilled designers and craftsmen will work closely with you on every detail. We're committed to your time frame and goals. It's why we have been in business for almost 40 years right here in the Valley. Book a one-on-one consultation at dolphinpools.us or stop by one of our 2 Valley locations. Dolphin Pools, Arizona's #1 pool company.
This month would have been my 27th wedding anniversary. I had envisioned sitting on the beach, watching the sun, setting over the ocean, and cherishing our beautiful life together. But that was not to be. With one chilling phone call, my world was shattered after being told my fun and charismatic husband had passed. This is Deb, owner of RJP Estate Planning. I was so thankful we had a living trust. This gave me peace of mind, knowing our assets were protected, so I could attend to my grieving daughters and my business. Tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. To protect the people you love, call RJP Estate Planning today.
If you're at least 60 years old, celebrate RJP's Black Friday event. Get 65% off on a living trust. Call 480-896-9597 by November 10th for your 65% discount. Call 480-896-9597. 480-896-9597.
Every strawberry, every apple, and every beet bunch at Natural Grocers is 100% organic. That's right, a full 100%. Natural Grocers is unwavering in their commitment to organic produce. While other stores might tease you with organic sections that are mixed with conventional produce, when you shop at Natural Grocers, there's no guesswork and possible cross-contamination from synthetic pesticides. They bet the other stores can't say that. Discover they're always affordable, truly organic produce today. Find your store at naturalgrocers.com.
KTAR News Flash.
At 1:17, I'm Jeff Munn. Here's what you need to know right now. Jobs and the economy will be the biggest issue for Latino voters in the 2024 presidential race. But Northern Arizona University Politics and International Affairs professor Stephen Nuno told the Gatos and Chad show abortion will also be on the minds of younger Latino voters.
We've got to bring that trust back in.
Former Maricopa County Recorder Helen Purcell tells KTAR she's proud of the legacy she left at the recorder's office after serving for 29 years. Looking at how things have changed since then, the Republican says the only thing she's not a fan of is negative reactions from candidates about elections after they've lost. Our special Arizona Votes 2024 show with Jim Sharp and Barry Markson, focusing on election integrity, continues in just a few moments. Former Arizona U.S. Senator Martha McSally says she was sexually assaulted while on a run yesterday in Omaha. In an Instagram video, she details how a man grabbed her from behind, at which point she chased him into the brush until police arrived. She says as someone who has experienced sexual assault before, fighting him off felt like getting her power back. You're never more than 15 minutes away from today's top stories on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Teacher Dan here. If you love your Weekend Warrior recreation as much as I do, and you suffer from neck or back pain that limits you or even keeps you out of the action, then check out the experts that treat pro athletes and weekend warriors just like me. I'm referring to the board-certified fellowship-trained spine surgeons, otherwise known as DISC. They resolved my back condition, and now I'm hiking, fishing, and golfing again. Check out the Desert Institute for Spine Care website at sciatica.com or text the word DISC to 411-923. That's DISC to 411-923.
Message and data rates may apply.
For a business to thrive, there needs to be a constant stream of new customers. This happens through strong lead generation. Did you know that lead generation is one of the most important tools of any marketing campaign? Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products and services to them. To get started today, contact aimyourdigital.com. That's aimyourdigital.com and start seeing results today.
Hi, I'm Dominic from Venezia's. Let's talk holiday catering. We can cater for just a few or a few hundred.
That's right, Dominic. Ordering for your holiday party is easy at Venezia's. We'll work with you and develop a menu that can include pizza, pasta, salads, and even stromboli. We serve authentic Italian food using only the freshest ingredients. It's food that will leave everyone begging for more.
Holiday catering from Venezia's. Check out our catering menu at venezias.com.
Everyday community. Supporting, giving. Every day at APS, we support Arizona community organizations and our customers, giving back to help Arizona teachers, nonprofits, and families, volunteering to support and strengthen neighborhoods, working with local partners to provide customers with crisis assistance and other services when they need it most. If you'd like to help your community or find assistance for yourself or someone you know, visit aps.com/brighter.
KTAR News Special, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. Hosted by Jim Sharp on 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
And by my side with his big legal mind, KTAR legal analyst Barry Markson. We are talking with Adrian Fontes, the current Secretary of State, about election integrity in this special edition of Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. And before we get back to Adrian Fontes, you had a really good point, because I'd asked Mr. Fontes if why, we've always had lying politicians. Why, to this degree, are people believing them now?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is Trump. I mean, it started with Trump. He said before the 2020 election that if he lost, it was stolen from him. I mean, he was talking about it before it happened.
Right.
And for whatever reason, everybody started running around to make that true. That's what happened. After the 2020 election, you had Rudy Giuliani whisper in his ear that it was stolen and we have evidence. And then you had Sidney Powell, and she was releasing the kraken of information that never was released, all the evidence that we never saw, 90 lawsuits where he lost every one of them. That's the difference. And for some reason, a big wing of this MAGA part of the country have grasped onto that and made that their Bible, that this is what is governing the whole country for them, despite a complete lack of evidence. And now it just keeps growing, it seems.
So, Secretary Fontes, by my calculations, if you look at between 50 and 60% of GOP voters who say that Trump is their guy going into the 2024 election, you're probably looking at about a sixth of the electorate that believes that there is not election integrity in this country. So, maybe in some ways that's a relief to think of it in that way. But what do we do to convince those who are convinced that the 2020 election was stolen, the 2022 election was stolen from Kari Lake? What do we do to convince people that that's not the case and we actually do have election integrity?
Well, first of all, we got to ask ourselves if that's our job. Right? Is it our responsibility to change somebody's heart and change somebody's mind? Or is it the individual's responsibility to actually get away from their own confirmation bias, to get away from their own echo chambers, to get away from their own very narrow point of view and look at other perspectives? I mean, that's the way good citizens have acted for a very long time. Let's hold them to the fire, right? A lot of these folks will say, oh, I listen to a lot of news. Do you really? I mean, if you're only looking at Newsmax and Fox, that's not a large perspective of news. Check out some of the other Go to MSNBC 2 nights a week and see how that works out for you. And I say the same things to my friends on the political left. Go listen to what you're hearing on the other side so you can at least have an understanding of what that perspective is. So the question is based on what do we have to do? I think we have to hold all of our fellow citizens to the same standard. And that's the core value that is America that Barry mentioned right now. It is the burden of proof. Where is the proof that this position is good? What is the actual argument? Not the rumor, not the conspiracy theory, not the innuendo, not the popular talking head on my TV station, but where's the actual evidence? And if we hold folks to those core values, that basic standards, the argument on the MAGA side of things, the elections are all bad side of things, it falls apart completely. And so really the notion is holding them to account for their opinions. And so I don't know that we have a duty to convince them so much as to let them know they're going to be held responsible for their information, just like they want everybody else to be responsible for ours.
So, but one of the things that State Senator Ken Bennett was talking about with us earlier last hour was that bill that you were involved in as well, trying to bring some, shine a light on how people are voting and the counting of ballots and actually being able to see people's ballots on the internet, anonymously. Have you abandoned that idea that we need to try and convince people?
No, I haven't abandoned it. I'm going to double down with Ken. I mean, he is a pro-transparency guy, as am I. We installed 24/7 cameras in the election center and the tabulation center when I was the Maricopa County recorder. We brought the ballot tracking system on so citizens could track their own ballot as it came to them and after it arrived at the election department. You look at my track record, it's all about accountability. It's all about transparency, regardless of what my critics say. God bless them. They can have their opinions. It's still a free country. But I am open to examination. I am open to criticism as long as it is legitimate and it has proof behind it. What I don't like is, accusations that are based in fantasy, that are based in lies that have been all but proven beyond any doubt at all to be lies. Barry mentioned the lawsuits. Hell, a lot of lawsuits that have been filed against me. Not one of them has actually been successful. Why? Because the courts will take time to examine whatever evidence is in front of them. And in many of those circumstances, the lawyers have been sanctioned. In other words, fined for actually bringing the lawsuits because they're wasting the court's time. So all I'm doing is trying to hold anybody of a different opinion accountable to the same standard they would hold me accountable to. Show us the proof. It's like those old ladies in the old Wendy's commercial, right?
Show me the beef.
That's exactly right. Where's the beef? Adrian Fontes, Arizona Secretary of State, thanks for joining us. Great information, and always appreciate everything you do to keep Arizona's election safe and secure.
Happy to be here, and I'm glad you guys are covering this important topic. Thank you very much.
All right, there you have it.
Yeah, and speaking of those election lawsuits, we'll go through all of that with our KTAR legal analyst, Barry Markson. Everything that Carrie Lake, Abe Hamadeh, et cetera, brought forward in the 2022 election. Maybe we'll even go back to 2020. I don't know.
Wow.
We'll see. All right, that's coming up here on Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out.
At Deer Valley Plumbing, all we do is plumbing. So who better to call when you need a drain cleared? You need it done now, and you need it done right. And that means you need a specialist. At Deer Valley Plumbing, we've been clearing drains for more than 30 years, and we're confident that once you invite us into your home, you'll never look for another plumber. We're in Deer Valley, but happily serving our neighbors valley-wide. Visit us at DeerValleyPlumbing.com.
Enjoy $25 off any plumbing service. Restrictions apply. DeerValleyPlumbing.com.
Are you passionate about connecting people to meaningful travel experiences? We invite you to join Viking as a sales representative. This year, Viking was voted #1 for rivers, #1 for oceans, and #1 for expeditions in Condé Nast Traveler's annual Reader's Choice Awards. Working remotely, you will assist guests in planning travel, with some top performers earning over $190,000 annually. For a limited time, we're also offering a $3,000 sign-on bonus. Start your journey today at vikingcareers.com/Arizona.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because only the Sleep Number Climate 360 smart bed lets you each sleep up to 13 degrees cooler or warmer on either side, while you both sleep at your ideal level of firmness, comfort, and support, your Sleep Number setting. And now our all-new next-gen smart beds have temperature benefits, so you sleep better night after night. And now, during our Veterans Day sale, save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition Smart Bed. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Hey, it's Mike Broomhead from my good friends at Tombstone Tactical. Great service, great selection, great prices. #1 Daniel Defense, #1 Smith & Wesson dealer in Arizona. So that means not only do they have a great selection, nobody beats their prices. Their customer service is second to none in their brand new, beautiful store that is located north of Dunlap Road on the west side of the I-17. You can't miss it. Get down there. You're going to love them at Tombstone Tactical. Shop online at tombstonetactical.com. Do it now. Tombstonetactical.com.
Interest rates and home prices are high, but do you know what else is also at an all-time high? Rents at 100% interest, high credit cards, but also your home equity. History has proven that there's no better way to build wealth than through homeownership. Let us at Waterstone Mortgage help you. Tune in every Saturday at 5 p.m. to Keeping It Real Estate with Amy B. And you can reach me anytime by texting the word CLOSE to 411-923.
Message and data rates may apply. Waterstone Mortgage Corporation, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 186434, Amy, NMLS 189766.
Now is a great time to start making smarter money decisions. Dave Ramsey here. Give the outside of your home some much-needed curb appeal with Rhino Shield permanent ceramic coating. Painting your home with traditional paint means you'll have to repaint every 4 to 5 years, costing you more over time. But with Rhino Shield permanent ceramic coating, you won't have to touch the exterior again for years. Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty. Your home will always look like it's just been freshly painted, guaranteed. No chipping, no flaking, no peeling, no kidding. So, if you're thinking about painting your exterior, call Rhino Shield first for a free estimate and ask about their ceramic technology and its ability to reduce your cooling costs. Perfect for the Arizona climate. Tell them Dave Ramsey sent you, and you get 20% off a regular price. So call 855-487-4466 or visit rhinoshieldaz.com today.
72 Sold is now the #1 fastest growing real estate company in Arizona and in the top 5 fastest growing real estate companies in the country in Inc. magazine. I'm Jamie West, and there's a reason the accolades just keep rolling in for 72 Sold. Their program works, and it's changing the way America sells homes for the better. 72 Sold makes selling your home fast and easy, and you can walk away with thousands more. Just put in your address to get your price, a higher price, at 72sold.com.
Arizona's news station. KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic. Now.
It's 1:31. I'm Jeff Munn. Here's our top story.
Arizona votes 2024 1 year out.
An up-and-coming political party is hoping to provide voters with an alternative in the upcoming 2024 election. Joe Cunningham, the No Labels Party National Director, tells the Mike Broomhead Show what types of candidates you might see on the ballot.
This ain't going to be a fringe candidate, and this is not going to be a spoiler. This is not going to be somebody who takes disproportionately from one side or the other. This is going to be a solid ticket that Americans are going to take a very hard look at.
He says many Americans aren't happy with the potential presidential race rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and that's drawing more people to the No Labels Party. West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who has at times been a lone voice in his party in seeking to hold back parts of the president's agenda, says he will not remain in the Senate after next year.
In a video announcement, the West Virginia Democratic senator says he will not be seeking a third Senate term.
But what I will be doing is traveling the country and speaking out to see if there is an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle.
For months, Joe Manchin has refused to rule anything out when he's been asked whether he might consider a run for the presidency, possibly as an independent. His decision to vacate his West Virginia Senate seat means a likely pickup for Republicans in the chamber next year. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Tune in all week as we bring you a special news series, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. We'll be looking at the big races and the issues that will be on your ballot. You can read, watch, and listen to our extensive coverage on 92.3 FM, the KTAR News app, and at KTAR.com. And our special Arizona Votes 2024 program, focusing on election integrity with Jim Sharp and Barry Markson, continues in just a few moments. KTAR Eyes on the economy. The downtown Phoenix area has become a huge economic force, and that's only expected to grow. A new study from Valley economist Jim Round says the area successfully supported 140,100 total jobs last year, with a $21 billion economic impact. Many of these high-wage jobs in bioscience, software engineering, and cybersecurity.
And we have almost $9 billion in personal income, or what people are making in their paychecks.
He believes over the next 5 years, employment will increase by 10.6%, adding approximately 6,700 workers.
KTAR News, Eyes on Education.
State Schools Chief Tom Horn is asking the statewide superintendents to not allow UNICEF and Amnesty International on their campuses. He says the organization's clubs gave a one-sided presentation on the Israel-Hamas war at Desert Mountain High School, and students reported feeling unsafe. Scottsdale Unified School District says while they are against anti-Semitism, they have no plans to remove the clubs because their governing board policies ensure an open forum for free thinking. Let's get an update on traffic as we go live to the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center. Here's Chuck Rowe.
Well, Jeff, our West Valley drivers have had a rough go of it today on the I-10 westbound. Still cleaning up that crash. I-10 westbound before Fairway Drive after Avondale Boulevard. Shouldn't be much longer, but for right now, the HOV and the left two lanes are still blocked, and you've got solid delays now away from the 202 South Mountain Freeway. A lot of folks are using McDowell. I wouldn't. Perhaps use Van Buren to the south, or better yet, even Buckeye Road further south from there. Now, there's a motorcycle wreck that is causing lane restrictions at Tatum Boulevard south of Bell Road. Another motorcycle wreck, Estrella Parkway, just south of MC 85. I'm Chuck Rowe, KTAR News.
Sunny today with a high of 79. Tonight clear, the low 54. Right now in Phoenix, sunny skies, 76 degrees. Weather's brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Jeff Munn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
A KTAR News Special, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. Hosted by Jim Sharp on 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
And as we take a look at election integrity in the 2024 election, KTAR News legal analyst Barry Markson is by my side, and I wanted to set aside this time, the last half hour that we have together, to discuss the lawsuits that have taken place, where they ended up, and any actual fraud that has gone on in the past, because you've got to go back to the roots of how we got to the point where such a large portion of the electorate arrived at the conclusion that the process we use in our representative form of government to pick our leaders, democracy, doesn't have integrity. So I want to go back even farther than 2020 for a second. I mean, we always heard cases of, like in Chicago, and I lived in Louisiana for a while, which was famous for, politicians, doing all sorts of funky stuff when voting time came around. I also come from a family that was rooted in Nebraska. And my great-great-grandfather ran for governor of Nebraska in the under the Populist Party, which was a branch of the Farmers Alliance. And the claim was that the ballot box had been stuffed by the Republicans, actually.
Imagine that.
And that he'd lost the election because of that. So there is actual voter fraud that has gone on. I was just looking here at the Heritage Foundation's website, and they actually list about 1,465 cases of voter fraud over the years. When you go to the Arizona page, there's only about 30, and these are 30 individuals since 2009.
Yeah.
But when you look at 2020 itself, there was only one person convicted in Arizona for voter fraud, and it was a guy by the name of Randy Jumper fraudulent use of absentee ballots and duplicate voting. Other than that, there's not been any convictions of massive voter fraud.
Right. And you know, it's interesting, Jim. People will say, well, that no election is perfect. And the answer to that is, you're right.
Yeah.
No election is perfect.
Yep.
Do people, somebody's mom dies and the ballot shows up, and do some people fill it out and send it in? Yeah. And guess what? That's against the law.
Yeah.
And if they find out, and they're going to find out, they're going to come get you, and they're going to arrest you, and they're going to convict you. It's a felony. It's not something to play around with. So are there cases like that occur? Yes. Are there people who vote or take extra ballots? Yes. But it's never more than one person or a handful of people or a handful of ballots. And the operative language in Arizona election law, which was written by Republicans, by the way, all of it, is that anything that's found has to be sufficient to overturn the results of the election. So in other words, we're not going to redo an election because 3 people voted for their parents. You know what I'm saying?
In their parents' place.
That's not how this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so is it perfect? No. Is there? But the allegations we've had since 2020 have increased so much. Now it's fraud, which is a legal term with certain supports that have to be there, and it's in the law. That here's what you have to show if you're going to show fraud.
So there was something like 90 lawsuits across the entire country, about a half dozen here in Arizona, that dealt with the 2020 election. How did those all turn out?
Yeah, so there were 8 or 9 in Arizona. These were all brought by Trump, his campaign, or people affiliated with him. So in Arizona, some were brought by the Trump campaign, some were brought by Kelly Ward, who was in charge of the Republican Party then. They all lost. And some were dismissed for lack of standing or for timeliness or for legal procedural things that every lawsuit has to survive before it can move forward. But several, including several in Arizona, many across the country, but several in Arizona, went to a trial, or at least what we call an evidentiary hearing, where judges permitted Trump's people or the Republican Party to put on witnesses and exhibits and evidence and have a trial. And in each of those instances, federal court and state court, the judges did not find any evidence of fraud or stolen election or anything to support that at all. And there's just no evidence. And it was Republican appointed judges. It was and some Democratic appointed judges too, I'm sure. Some of these were Trump appointed judges who found this in 2020 across the country. But I will tell you, in Arizona specifically, there were hearings in the Superior Court in Maricopa County and in federal court here in Phoenix, and full hearings with evidence. And there was nothing was found to be sufficient to meet the threshold in Arizona election law to change anything or to do anything about it.
But there's a new rumor going around about the 2020 lawsuits.
Yes. So the conspiracy theory, that wasn't the statement that these folks would make, the election deniers would make, was all of those 90 lawsuits were thrown out because of standing or some procedural thing, that no evidence was ever presented. Because if the evidence had been presented,
in other words, the person bringing the lawsuit didn't have the position to actually even bring the lawsuit in the first place,
or it was there was a procedural error or something else,
right?
And that was always it, that no evidence was ever presented, and that's why Trump lost 90 lawsuits. Now, I'm hearing this now for the first time in the last month or two. Now, the new statement is 30 of the lawsuits, actually, evidence was presented in those lawsuits at those trials, and Trump won 22 of them, which is just flat out a lie. It's just false. It didn't happen. But that's the newest conspiracy theory.
Wouldn't we see something have changed in some jurisdiction or another if even 20 of those 90 lawsuits had been won by the Trump team?
Yeah, you would have seen cases go up to their Supreme Court. If they won, you would have seen potentially votes thrown out. You would have seen overturned elections. None of that happened. And Jim, it's the oddest thing, and both of our guests today talked about this, and we discussed it. Where did this come from? Because there's no evidence of fraud. There's no evidence of a stolen election. Why does this keep happening? And what it is it's the candidate. It's Trump, or in Arizona, our own Kari Lake, who make up that we lost. It can't just be because of something we did or how our campaign was. It must have been fraud or the election was stolen. But when you ask them for the evidence, there's no evidence.
We'll get into some of the more recent lawsuits. We're talking the 2022 election as opposed to the 2020 election. And we'll go a lot more local when we start talking about the lawsuits and the claims from Kari Lake and Abe Hamadeh and some of the other folks who said, look, I won the election. I should be in office, but I'm not because of something Something done behind the scenes. That's ahead as we take a special look at election integrity in Arizona votes 2024, 1 year out. I'm Jim Sharp. He's KTAR News legal analyst Barry Markson.
School is in full swing, and so is Pay Tribute to a Teacher, brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealers. In a world where knowledge shapes the future, there are those who light the way. They are our teachers. If you know a teacher who ignites curiosity in your child and fosters a love for learning, text the word teacher to 411-923 and nominate them for a $2,500 bonus. Pay Tribute to a Teacher, brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Message and data rates may apply.
I'm Doug Hopkins with My Home Group and DougHopkins.com. If you're looking to sell your house and want the convenience of a guaranteed cash offer, I'd be honored if you gave us a try. I've been working in Valley real estate for 25 years and have purchased over 18,000 homes during that time. DougHopkins.com offers you peace of mind while selling your house. Since I'm paying you cash, there are no banks involved, no closing costs, no expensive real estate commissions, and you can sell your house in as-is condition with no repairs. I take care of everything. DougHopkins.com will give you an honest cash offer for your house. We'll put it in writing and we'll guarantee it. We're not going to bait and switch you by offering a high amount contingent upon inspections. Then down the road, come back and try to renegotiate to a lower price. The price I offer the first time is the price I'll pay, and I'll guarantee it with a $5,000 non-refundable security deposit. It's as simple as that. Just go to DougHopkins.com for your free no-obligation cash offer 24 hours a day, or call 1-800-SELL-NOW. That's 1-800-SELL-NOW.
Save $2,000 on LASIK now at King LASIK. With over 250,000 procedures, the King LASIK team is the most experienced in Arizona.
Hey, it's Dr. King. The most common thing patients tell me, I should have done it sooner. Well, King LASIK's experience, convenient Saturday procedures, and affordability make now the time to see life better.
This month, LASIK is $2,000 off. Plus, with 0% financing, payments are just $146 a month. Schedule your free Zoom consultation at KingLASIK.com.
We made it through another Arizona summer. Brutal. So to celebrate day and night air conditioning, heating, and plumbing, they're offering a free air purifier with every new AC or heating system installed, a $1,500 value, plus day and night will double your utility rebate. Hey, at Casa Calvisi, we recently bought a new AC from Day and Night. Our AC bill's so much less right now. And speaking of right now, get that free air purifier with every new AC or heating system installed, plus day and night will double your utility rebate at dayandnightair.com.
Ever wondered what your home's exterior could look like, or are you settling for second best? At America's Home Pros, we believe in possibilities, in transforming the ordinary into extraordinary. Right now, you can get our professional exterior painting and repair service at an unbeatable 30% off. Schedule your free estimate today at ahomepros.com.
America's Home Pros. Repair, replace, repaint. Call 480-590-1055.
KTAR News Flash.
At 1:45, I'm Jeff Munn. Here's what you need to know right now. An up-and-coming political party is hoping to provide voters with an alternative in the upcoming 2024 election. Joe Cunningham, the No Labels Party National Director, tells the Mike Broomhead Show the party wants candidates who can work with both sides of the aisle. Our Arizona Votes 2024 election special program with Jim Sharp and Barry Markson focusing on election integrity continues in just a few moments. Former Arizona U.S. Senator Martha McSally says she was sexually assaulted while on a run in Omaha yesterday. In an Instagram video, she details how a man grabbed her from behind, at which point she chased him into the brush until police arrived. KTAR Eyes on the Economy. Downtown Phoenix has become an economic behemoth, according to a new study from Valley economist Jim Rounds. The area's economic impact is $21 billion annually, supports 140,000 total jobs with $9 billion in payroll. You're never more than 15 minutes away from today's top stories on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Bodify has only offered cool sculpting because they wanted to be the master of one, not a jack of all trades. But when you, the client, asked about treatments for skin concerns, Morpheus 8 was the perfect choice for Bodify. Whether it's fine lines, wrinkles, or other skin issues, choose Bodify, the experts in cool sculpting and Morpheus 8. Visit freezemeaz.com to book a free consultation and claim your $500 introductory pricing coupon. Again, that's freezemeaz.com.
Hey guys, it's Matt with Bright Wealth Management. Are you ready to secure your dream retirement without the hassle? Our team of dedicated retirement specialists focus on building you a custom plan based on your personal goals and risk tolerance. We are focused on creating a true fiduciary relationship with all of our clients, ensuring your financial goals are met with integrity and care. Call us today at 833-777-4BWM, 833-777-4296, or online at brightwm.com to schedule that free consultation and portfolio analysis.
It's Black Friday all month long at Howard Air. Keep your system running at maximum efficiency with a furnace tune-up from Howard Air. For a limited time, get Howard Air's 44-point maintenance for only $129, plus a free indoor air quality assessment when you book your appointment for November 2023. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air. Schedule your free in-home estimate online today at howardair.com or call 602-953-2766. Some restrictions apply. Tell them Gato sent you.
Seeing top-notch quality vitamins and supplements at always affordable prices? Look no further than Natural Grocers brand supplements. Amidst the online haze of quality, they shine through with potent ingredients and the best manufacturing standards. Their name stands for trust, proven through time and generations. So enjoy your food and supplement the rest with Natural Grocers brand and supplements. Visit naturalgrocers.com to find a store near you.
KTAR News Special, Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. Hosted by Jim Sharp on 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
Got to say thank you to Ken Bennett, the former Secretary of State, State Senator Ken Bennett, Republican former Secretary of State, the current Secretary of State, Democrat Adrian Fontes, for joining us on this special. This KTAR News special is focused on election integrity. Arizona Votes 2024, 1 year out. By my side here is Barry Markson. Apparently you prefer just being Barry as opposed to a KTAR legal analyst, Barry. But
whatever you got.
I just got to throw it out there because it gives you all that, that court kind of gravitas going on. And we're talking about court cases, right?
That's right. All right. I'm a lawyer. Let's go.
We talked about the 2020 election lawsuits, 90 of them. None of them ended up going in Trump's favor. Let's talk about the local lawsuits here. Let's start with Kari Lake, the most famous candidate maybe ever to come out of Arizona at this point. Her claims that she should be in the ninth floor office at the state capitol executive tower as governor of Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, Kari Lake still refers to herself as governor, or at least her staff does. So she filed, her initial lawsuit was 10 separate counts that were things like fraud and the stolen election. I won't go into the weeds with you here, but she lost. The trial court dismissed several of those counts, then had a trial. She had a trial with evidence and witnesses.
There was one sticking point.
Well, there were several at that point. She had 3 different claims that she could make there, and she lost the trial. So she presented all of her evidence, all of her experts, and I will tell you that the judge in the case, speaking as a lawyer, let in evidence that would normally never have seen the light of day. But there wasn't a jury there. The judge was able to hear everything, and then he could decide how to weigh that. So she was given every latitude. Her lawyers were given every opportunity to get her evidence in. She got it all in. And then the judge found there was no evidence to support the claims that she made. Went to the appellate court, she lost again. Went to the Supreme Court, she lost again.
The Arizona Supreme Court.
The Arizona Supreme Court, but none of this will ever go to the U.S. Supreme Court, by the way. I love when Kari says, or anybody says these are going to go to this is Arizona election law. It's not going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. So she gets to the Supreme Court, and the Arizona Supreme Court sends back one question, not on the trial where she presented evidence and lost, but on one that was dismissed previously, and it was a very deep legal, in-the-weeds procedural
That's what
thing.
I was thinking of when I said one as opposed to 3.
It was called latches. It's a time issue about when it was brought.
Gotcha.
For lawyers, we can zone out on this for hours or days at a time. I'm not going to bore you. But it went back. They said they remanded it, it's called. So it went back to the trial court. The judge had a trial on that one. Judge could have dismissed it again. But he said, nope, let's have the trial. Bring all your evidence in. Did another trial on this issue. She lost again. That's up on appeal now. So we'll see where that goes. But it's a never. I mean, it's at a year now, Jim. It's a year after the election.
Oh yeah,
and it's still going on. And this is with even expedited court hearings. She there's no evidence. She has the amount of losing that she's done is actually it's. I feel bad for her at some point because since the primary, she hasn't won anything. She's lost the election and she's lost every single lawsuit and claim she's brought.
So let's move on to some of the other candidates. Abe Hamadeh, for instance, he did barely lose to Chris Mays, who ended up being the Attorney General.
280 votes is what it ended up being. Very, very close. Out of over 2 million.
Was there any his claims that he made?
So I said at that time, and I'll say it now, is that when it's that close, yes, you should absolutely explore. Everybody should explore their legal things. If there's something wrong, if there's true fraud or something going on, then we should explore that legally. And there's an avenue in the law to do that. And Abe did that. So he filed his lawsuit. And I said at the time, this is absolutely appropriate. At that point, he was down by about 500 votes. And they went to trial. They did their evidence. The judge let them go look at ballots in 3 or 4 different counties that he asked to do. Everything he asked for, they gave him. And then they get in trial. And his lawyer on the first day of trial, after being there for a few hours, said, "Judge, we're not going to have any evidence here to support these claims." But they went through the whole thing of the trial. The lawyer basically admitted there was nothing there, and the judge did what he had to do, which was to say, you lose. Abe appealed. But Abe didn't file the appeal. First, he filed a motion for new trial, and for some reason that sat for an awfully long time. Then he tried to add new claims to that motion for new trial, which you can't really do. So the judge had to deal with that. Eventually, they dealt with the new trial. He lost. Now that's on appeal. Now, in fairness to Abe, the trial court judge in that one, I don't know why it took so long to issue orders. That was not Abe's fault. That was the judge's fault. It dragged on unnecessarily for a long time. But Abe lost at the trial court. In the meantime, because the judge wasn't signing the order, Abe's lawyers filed what's called a special action. They tried to get something right up to the Arizona Supreme Court. Completely, you can't do it that way, the way they did it. And the Supreme Court said, no, and not only no, we're going to sanction you for doing this. And I haven't mentioned that, but Carrie Lake and her lawyers, Abe and his lawyers, they've been sanctioned all along the way here, not because they don't like them. These are Republican-appointed judges, but because they're doing things legally improperly or not doing it the right way or bringing claims without having any merit. And you can't do that. And I will tell you, Jim, in the legal system,
it's considered wasting the court's time.
It is, and it's not only the court's time, but the sanction is usually the expense the other side has to pay their lawyers to fight the ridiculous thing you're bringing. If you're bringing a frivolous lawsuit or baseless claims, the other side has to hire lawyers and spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And in most cases, the other side is the government. It's us. It's our taxpayer dollars that are paying for these lawyers. So the sanctions have just been adding up and adding up. Carrie Lake and Mark Fincham had another lawsuit prior to the election that was in federal court to say we're not allowed to use tabulators in Arizona.
Which we've been using for how many decades?
Over 50 years, at least. And the court said, this is crazy, and dismissed it, and then had a big hearing and sanctioned those lawyers. That sanctions $122,000.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that's up on appeal now. So
that's because you lawyers charge so much. So that's the whole reason it's got that high, right?
Well, okay, but but it's the thing to look at is the trend. Lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit failing because the court is where conspiracy theories go to die. Yeah. Conspiracy theories can live out in social media. They can't live in a courtroom because you have to show evidence to keep it alive. You have to have support, otherwise it dies.
So, bottom line, you feel confident, Barry Markson, casting your vote for whomever you're going to cast your vote for in 2024, and you believe that will be counted and that the person who gets the most votes will actually be declared the winner?
I do. Arizona has had, from an early voting standard, a mail-in voting standard, Jim, you know this, 30 years, unblemished. It is I think we are the target for the rest of the country in what we do here with election integrity and ease of voting and making sure people's votes are counted. I feel absolutely 100% confident in our system here.
All right. Thank you very much, Barry, for your time this afternoon. Jim. It sounds like you're fighting a little cold. Go get some rest, my friend.
No, I'm all right. I'm all right.
All right. I will be back with you tomorrow morning at 4. Well, no, that's when I get here, is before 4. 5 a.m. for Arizona's Morning News with Jamie West. Thanks for listening to Arizona Votes.